recording. Sorry. That's the reason why we need a test. Thank you, phone, for letting me know that there's some craziness going on here. Let us see what the sound is like. Could you tell us, please? You want to test some singing or something? Yeah. I think your whole thing is then gonna flickle. Is there somewhere like maybe like yeah? You want to see it there? It's up to you. Or you can have the covered one because of your flickies. The other side is completely up to you. Oh, what have I done with the other part? Oh, jeez. Okay, you take that part.
I'm just wondering if it's going to be like that.
It should be okay.
Yes, you make.
And you can loosen it if you want because there's lots of thingy.
And I will follow you for a while. You make all things new, yes, you make all things new, and I will follow you forward. Okay, cool.
Okay. So, you want to test your guitar on it as well, or not?
Yeah.
While we're here playing, because I'm going to delete this anyway, so. While we're here playing, we may as well see what's going on.
I believe you believe my God. Alright, go for it.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. So, let's see what... No. I'm just going to chat. No, just going to... Does that fall off? Fall. Okay. So, okay, I'll just leave that. Right. Okay. So there was something that you said that I thought was interesting. So you want behind what was it? Between Two Worlds, right?
Yeah. Between Two Worlds.
So I remember you sending me a video. You guys were in a courtyard, like a basketball, like where we hoop, like hopscotch. Yeah. Like I can't remember the actual video. People playing out in the
of mine.
Of yours.
Oh, sorry, that must have been 40/40 Home.
40/40.
Yes. Okay, that was one of the first singles from that same project, Between Two Worlds. Yeah. I mean, God help us if that really moved. I'm really sorry.
We just, keep pretending we know what we're doing. Okay. Is it on? Oh, it started? Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. So let me go back. a bit. So I'm interested in the journey to get to Glow, but maybe let's go back to community work, us walking down the road, you sending me stuff, me listening, being amazed by the way that you put things together. You took something that was already out there, that was known, and you put your spin on it.
Yeah.
But your spin on it was so uniquely you, and yet I felt like I was experiencing an artist that hadn't really even discovered what you could possibly even look like. And I say that not to say that anybody creatively knows where they go. I've gone through so many iterations as a creative in my life. I'm going through another one now. These conversations with Michi are just, that's another iteration, it's another version of my Style ID sessions, for which Glow was the, backing music. I was like, I need an instrumental. Thank you very much, Glow, bring it. So and whenever I listen to it back, it's just still,
It's a timeless sort of song. I feel like, just to respond to what you were saying earlier, like I was just in such a space of, when I do like a refix, that's me at my most creative. because I take my inspiration and I put it through the REAF machine, kind of like my perspective of how I would, you know, make that song my own. And I've actually brought a lot of that back with a series of YouTube videos that I'm gonna start putting out, which you're gonna love it. But yeah, Glow, that style of music, the boom bap, lo-fi, like hip hop, Jay Dilla inspired era of music. I was put onto that.
Sorry, that was the person, Jay Dilla.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it was what, yes. Yeah, so now you've just reminded me, because I was trying to work out, like, what was it in the stuff you sent me? Yes, there was Erykah Badu and all of those, but there was something, and I was like, what she know about that? Like, what she know about that? And not just know about that, like, she do it right. Like, Jay Dilla.
I didn't know, like, when I was first introduced to Jay Dilla and lo-fi and hip hop, I didn't really see it as, for example, rap music. I heard straight melodies. It has so much space that just allowed me to vocally just move, and because it's inspired by jazz, it was just perfect for me. And that is where, even though I never really owned that space as much as I feel like I could, but I knew that being in that space,
I agree.
I know that being in my space, my voice just did what it, you know. I think I just generally my whole career really struggled with when you're experimenting and then the hat that you, I guess, put on to create like a finished piece of work, and there's this pressure for everything to have this finished, polished thing, and to, you know, I guess if you're writing music for the charts, you got to follow this certain structure, and I got so wrapped up in that I neglected the whole freestyle flow that naturally came to me. But yeah, I absolutely loved being able to just flow in that sort of area, and I'm definitely trying to bring a lot of that back.
You need to, because I love what you said about, you know, the this idea of not even having fully, you know, fill that space. I mean, I definitely agree, and I think because there is a strength to your voice. So going back to this thing about the Songbird, there is a strength to your voice that has nothing to do with vocal, you know, like chops. Exactly, it's got nothing to do with that. It's just
it's more the intricate navigating in a particular melodic space.
That's the Songbird. I tell you, that's where that. See, even as I think about it, it's like goosebumps. That's what I heard and hear in your whole musical vibe. I hear it and I'm like, it's like a bird at my window, just just chirping and chirps in, like both at the same time. Yeah, girl, I went there at the same time.
That's so funny.
Yes, I mean that, you know. And what's interesting is, I think for me, in terms of the storytelling, that was what was so intriguing and so much of what I wanted to be a part of and to almost help you shape. With Glow and that project. Because I felt like there is a storyteller in the way that you approach these songs, even if it is somebody else's story. That I felt like, we've got to create some identity around that. You know,
I so wish I was more screwed on to the business of music, or not even the business, but just like, I guess just the potential of where things could go. I had no clue how much art and music intertwine and is so important to your branding and how you connect with people. And even as I've moved on and evolved, and I don't, I wouldn't take back trying new things and other things, because I have a very versatile voice, and I've always been like, don't put me in a box, because I haven't even tried what this is to even know if I can and can't do that. But I feel like in doing that, I've then neglected the people that I may have connected with originally, with, you know, with the hip hop, lo-fi, neo soul type era. But is coming back to a nice full circle, because now I know what my options are. Now I know my strengths, my weaknesses, and all that kind of stuff. And I am so happy that I've gone on that journey, because it's about to be something. It's about to be something.
Ooh! And do you know what I like about what I like about hearing that, even though I don't even know anything about the project, but what's exciting to me is to even see the level of confidence that has developed in you to be able to say, you know, it's about to be something, and not in a, oh yes, I've got this new project and it's great, but like a real sense of ownership, like as though you really have taken some time to own that.
Yeah.
And I'm there's two parts to this that I'm really curious about. I'm curious to know what the journey between the sort of refixes, because you used to do a lot of acoustic stuff that I used to just love watching with some of your collaborators, and there was a sort of looseness and family community type thing to that, which I know that you're exploring again. But what the journey between that space and then the style of Glow, and then what you moved into after that, and then what you were coming back to. How have you navigated that? What precipitated it? And even how have the changing circumstances that we've all been living in now impacted on that?
I think it's
a big question. Yes, I know, it's big. It's big. There's like 2 hours in there.
Trust me. But even as you've said that to me, you've almost like put a mirror up, and maybe really reflect, like, I've been here, there, and everywhere. Like, there's been so many layers to me. So I guess in answer to your question, when I first started doing music, it was never about necessarily being a star. It was never about like necessarily being in the spotlight. It was more so just about enjoying. I was amongst like a bunch of friends, even in a collective at the time. 6 weeks, we were just chilling and just enjoying music, poetry, and just culture. Like that was amazing. But then again, with that Jules thing of, okay, we can't just sit here and just play games all the time.
Well, you could. That's art.
Bills gotta get paid. And a lot of us started growing up and getting real jobs, as they said. And then as you get the real jobs, finding that time to still be creative, it was hard. So, you know, you move on and you make do. But I feel like as I spent less time, say, with the collective, I still wanted like an outlet to be around creatives and around people. So I guess that's where Ruth-Ellen Friends came from.
Love.
Which is the community, the live music night, intimate show that happens essentially 4 times a year, and that's been running for about 3 years now, which is amazing because I remember your first one. And no, it wasn't even the first one, because you sort of had like small ones to sort of test the space, and you were still very sheepish even then. And then I was kind of like, hello, do you not
Miss
know
Ruth-Ellen, what are you doing?
I had no clue.
Really?
This is the thing though, I would do things, I would have these ideas and go for them, and in the intimate setting, the people that were there would just know, you know, they would come away feeling like, wow, that was an experience. But for me, like, that was just enough. I would never want it to be like, oh yeah, like, this is really something we can make money from, and this is something that we can continue. I was like, oh, you know, if it happens, it happens. So passive. I'm totally different now. Don't worry. But there was just such an innocence in just wanting to enjoy a moment and connect with people in, you know, in that space. There's something you said. You asked me a question and I haven't answered it.
About the journey, the refix to Glow, and then the changing context that we have been living in terms of this space now, all the changes we've gone through. I'm trying not to talk about COVID.
Sure.
COVID-19 in 2021, we won't talk anything about that. But you know, the journey, you know, how that has been, and then this the change of from working within a community to kind of, doing your own thing, and I know you're now kind of going back into that space.
Right.
So whatever you feel has been, the sort of pertinent points of that.
Yeah. So in focusing on Ruth-Ellen Friends, which was a gift that just kept giving in terms of networking and just even me growing, because essentially I would then have a gig 4 times a year, and I would be able to grow in terms of performance, engaging with the audience and all of that kind of stuff.
Social media, you started to become really active.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But with focusing on that, I did have friends who I would pull on to, help support the evenings, to be on the door, or to my sister, stage manager. She did such a great job at that. Just little stuff like that. But my energy was so much in Ruth-Ellen Friends that my actual creation of music and putting out music and developing was completely neglected.
Even though you were doing interviews and stuff, because you did a lot of radio and interviews, and you were...
Because I had a project that I needed to push, but I would have like studio sessions with different people, but I've got so much music that I've just not then been able to bring to the stage of it being released. As well, when I was doing Between Two Worlds, and even my first project, Life, which was out 2015, things like Spotify, Apple Music, or Spotify playlisting, that wasn't really the talk. Really, it was more SoundCloud, and even that I wasn't necessarily popping on. Do you know what I mean? So I then realized, okay, cool, doing Ruth-Ellen Friends, but now I want to get back into releasing music. But there was this whole thing I had to learn about playlisting, and then that's when I started to realize, okay, I need a brand and all that kind of stuff. And then I started looking a lot like outwardly for like what my brand was, and then there was a massive disconnect. I didn't realize I already had it going on, y'all. I already had the image, I already had, but I didn't know how to, own it. So 2 years ago now, because we're in 2021.
This is so amazing to me. Like, I just kind of feel like this could be a 5-hour conversation. So in my brain, I'm like,
how am I going to talk?
Yeah, exactly. and I'm like, I want everybody in this living room, really, so that, it could be like a group discussion. But I'm like, wow, amazing.
So 2019, I then released my first single. This was like after Between Two Worlds, that's died down now. I've done the promo for that, and it's like, okay, I'm getting ready to release another project essentially. So I released the first single, Over the Wall, and it's a completely different style, and it is a beautiful song, but it's completely different to what people knew me to, like whoever was following the whole REAF season, just what I was doing before. I again struggling with my own like self-esteem and confidence. I never owned like, I do that and I do this. So I kind of just felt like I almost started from the beginning and didn't even know how to navigate that. Where are my fans? Like, no one's even listening to my music. Didn't really know how to go about like PR and all that kind of stuff. So I spent the rest of 2019 to like say about a year ago, just like researching, watching all the YouTube videos about how to grow as an independent artist, because I didn't realize, that's what I am actually this independent artist. Okay.
So I really want you to not lose your flow.
Okay.
But
yeah.
How do I ask this question without us going off now into 5 other conversations? Because hearing you, that is what I recognized at the beginning, like a person that did not realize who they were,
or like
and and what you are about, even though you've had a clear dream. Because even when you were doing the job that paid the bills, your dream, we did the glow shoot while you were still in that job, right? So it's it's so weird to me.
It's kind of like,
What goes on in your head?
I was sleeping. I was just
sleepwalking through your own life.
Walking through my own life. Okay, so a little bit about me, right? My sister will tell you. I have this thing where my head is not there. My head, like, this is before. My head was not there. I kind of like, I'm a bit of a fairy. Do you know what I mean? Like, fairies are good when they know themselves.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
They need
good
to be
point.
grounded.
Okay.
I was a fairy, but I also was not grounded. Like, I just going with the wind.
So not even using your wings, just going with the wind.
Just going with the wind.
Wow.
And like, it's really strange for me because even up until last year, I feel like last year it really dawned on me how much of a passive life I've been living. And by passive, I mean like, well, what we were just saying is a massive example of like passive living. I was just like, I'm not being necessarily as intentional about anything. I don't really know how I've been able to succeed in life period, like in different things, because knowing me, there's been loads of achievements and loads. You know, people don't necessarily look at me and be like, "Oh, she's a fairy." It's only when we have discussions like this, you're kind of like, "But Ruth, you should be doing this. You should be doing that." It's been a mixture of things. It's just been from low self-esteem to like, I guess one of the things could be with my parents being Christians. Not so much because they're Christians,
okay,
but being like from the church and not necessarily having experience in music or like knowing who I can go to for that sort of direction.
Even though they've been very supportive.
And they would give their 2 pence.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
I've seen it. Like, I've seen it.
Their direction. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, yeah, cool. But the type of person I've been, again, being passive, I wouldn't then question that. I would think, oh, this is what, you know, music is meant to be. And for years, it's just not been happening the way, like, maybe it should be. And I feel like this past year, I've now been, like, more aggressive and, like, attacking the goal. Okay. Making the goal and the vision plain.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, cool, well, this is what we need to do. For a while as well, I was a little bit afraid of owning the space that I was in because I wasn't the most clued up in it. So I kind of had this idea that if I'm not the most clued up in it, I can't then teach or show anyone, even though I had some experience. And
imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome.
That's what that is, you know, imposter syndrome and perfection, you know, I don't even know what, you know, shackles, because that whole idea, and I know it because I've been there.
Yeah.
You know, where you think that something has to be a certain way first.
Yeah.
Now, there's a difference between aspiring for, you know, for and to your best self. It's a very different thing when you actually begin to stop yourself from actually putting yourself out there because you think it is not, you know, on par or up to scratch or whatever. Because what that is, you are not rooting for yourself.
Right.
You are not rooting for yourself.
That was all me, basically. And
we all have, you know, things that, you know, we all have versions of it.
Yeah, 110%. Yeah, I don't really know what more to say without like repeating myself, to be honest. But I'm honestly looking back, I'm so shocked because when I look at Glow and just like,
Glow was beautiful.
The potential of
Glow was beautiful.
If that was to be released now with the knowledge I now have of like how to approach PR, like send out emails and get a press kit and all that kind of stuff. Bearing in mind, during those times of me being a bit fairy-like,
we love fairies, so I'm gonna, it's positive to me. Yes.
I still am fairy-like, but in terms of like just not knowing what I was doing, and I guess just I don't know what I expected, but I had managers at the time, and I think they didn't understand
Oh gosh, you just reminded me of that. Because remember, even when I came on board, so I should give some context. So I came on board as a consultant, stylist, and sort of brand consultant, we'd say.
Yeah.
Because my whole thing is about style identity and, how people bring the innate side, the innate part of them from the inside out. So that's what I look at. What is in you that you need to present to the world, and then how can you do that? People look at branding and they go, oh, I see what that person's doing. It drives me crazy. I see it on YouTube all the time. Just another version of what they saw somebody else do, and it's like, oh, come on, that's not inspiration. But that's a conversation for another program. But the reason why I mentioned that is because the management thing, I remember your manager even at the time was like, oh, so what's she doing and what am I doing? I don't know if you remember that. And I was kind of like, okay, you're going to need to go and make very clear to the person that I am not in their
It reminded me because I have a track record of so many other things, but other people keep reminding me of other things, and I'm just like, wow. For years, I remember defending and like being in a space where, because I didn't even know what the business lingo was, when bringing you on, I didn't see how that was going to contradict with anything. So for when they had said that, instead of being like, oh no, this is that, I then couldn't even articulate because I didn't know what the hell was going on. Oh, Ruth-Ellen. Jesus.
Oh gosh, but you blossomed in fairy like weight, beauty to now. So what? Okay, so I still want to touch on two things. No, because I want to know what that fairy tale journey now looks like, because you don't want to you never want to throw a baby out with bathwater, so you want to own things that are you. So if you are fairy like, with your beautiful wings and your songbird spirit, that's you. It, the world needs it, we love it, those of us that have experienced it love it. What is the world going to look like now for you? I have my 2021 hashtag for myself is 2021. Nice. Bring it on. That's my hashtag. I'm like 2020. Bring it on. So what is this year going to look like for you, as best as best as you can shape it, having been through gone along this journey, and how have you dealt with some of the things you mentioned, low self-esteem, being able to have a clear vision for yourself, being able to take ownership of your space, to own that, and now be able to articulate it, even when you don't have full understanding of what will come out of that. So two things, but, related.
Okay. Well, after 2020, I was like, something needs to change. A shift needs to happen. I've been very familiar with, goal setting, and even towards the tail end of last year, I needed to set monthly intentions and also affirmations as well, because I found I was still struggling with anxiety and stuff. So I needed to put things in place. Because I wasn't about to go back to how things were before.
Right.
Because before I had anxiety attacks and all that kind of stuff. My anxiety the anxiety presented itself differently last year. It wasn't necessarily the panic attacks where I'm, hyperventilating and all that kind of stuff. It was just more like low moods and sort of more battling with my thoughts and my how I perceive myself, how much I valued myself. So I had to counteract those with my affirmations and stuff like that, and then that turned into like intentions and making sure that my to-do list was getting done, and then I started looking into more ways of productivity, and then it was like, hey, goal setting. So I don't usually do like New Year's resolutions, but with the time I had at this time of year, I had the time to really look at every area of my life and start setting, like, I'm not happy with this, so this is I have the power to change it.
Wow. Yeah.
From my prayer life to how much I read the Bible to a nighttime routine to my music and like different things that I had started in the past that I'd sort of just left to the wayside. So in the goal setting, I was like, okay, cool, I need to see this visually. So I've actually done a vision board for 2020. I searched for images.
2021.
That's the one.
Because we want to just leave 2020 like, oh, because we can't still be calling on 2020 now. That's how much it affected us, that we're still traumatized. So I still be like 2020. No, sorry, wrong year, 2021. Thank you very much.
But I feel like I had experienced a lot of loneliness in 2020.
Wow.
And I feel like that was actually needed because I only had myself, or I felt I only had myself to pick me up. There was no one else that was going to do it for me. And that
no, I'm laughing, not that was not a laugh at you.
Yeah.
I have conversations last year, 2020, with my manager, and I'd be like, okay, let me just explain something to you, child. Ain't nobody coming to save me but me. Because you know how people ask you, oh, how can I help?
Yeah.
And it's out of the goodness of their heart. But there comes a point where you're like, I appreciate it, but ain't nobody about to save me but me.
Yeah, because sometimes
even Jesus can't do it.
Crutches, instead of actually dealing with with
and that sounds controversial, but really and truly, because unless we are prepared to walk out onto the water, we cannot be saved. That's just that simple.
You've got to believe.
And your faith has to then be actioned.
110%.
People be, like praying themselves into the ground, ain't doing nothing about it. But we've all been there. Whatever.
I'm screaming. But yeah.
So a visual kind of
just a representation. Like every goal, like I learn visually.
Yes, you do.
So with the goals, I literally found a picture for everything.
I love it.
So the vision board has a picture that represents a particular action, goal.
Wow.
So the experience itself was incredible.
How long did it take you?
A while, because you can't just wake up one day and make a vision board. You have to really think about what it is that you want to achieve. You have to make them smart goals, because otherwise it's just a pretty board. Like you need to know how long it's going to take you to get that, what steps you're going to make to get there. And then it was searching for the pictures, and then it was
Did you know what the pictures were? Did you have an idea of what the pictures were, or would you see something and then go, okay, that goes with that goal?
So a bit of both.
Okay.
So if the goal was getting a car,
okay,
I know what car I want.
Okay.
I got a picture of the car I want.
Okay. However, and did you get that particular car?
What do you mean?
So if it was a car,
yes, and
the picture of the car that you want, right?
I googled that car,
right? But when the goal is achieved,
yes,
is it the car in the picture? So okay,
yes, it would need to be.
It would need to be the okay. that exact red. Okay, yes, okay. I know, and that's why I'm asking, right? Because sometimes we have. So, for example, I've had something which has had my island tropical as opposed to Ireland, Northern Ireland.
Right.
Picture.
No.
I love Ireland, but I'm being specific here. Pictures on it, and I've had that for years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
so I know. Yeah, she needs glasses. She needs to have her glasses with her. Anyway. So, and with that, for me, it's the experience of the this island living. As opposed to me going and picking a photo of Barbados now, that's not to say that in my action plan that I don't have particular islands that I want. Yes, but it's sort of, and I did that in order to almost widen my horizon and not limit myself.
That's fair enough. So
that's what I did. So that's why I was just asking you what yours was like, because some people do the opposite, where they go, that's the thing, and this, and then when they're in it, they're like, oh, it's exactly what I
watched a couple of videos of like how to, or like what's the best ways, and some people were saying, as you just said, like be very specific. Like if you want, let's say, a house with a pool, make sure you have the house that has the pool.
The pool, okay.
Some people just like, they just went through magazines and just whatever spoke to them.
Okay.
You know, they ripped out and they used. So I did both.
Okay.
So I did specific things. And then I also went through the magazine's words, pictures, and then made sentences as well that sort of reflected what I wanted to achieve. Like we've got words like shine your exceptional light, unique queen. Those are different words.
I love that
I found in different magazines and put that together. Obviously, I know that there's...
You got glow on there?
Yes, I do. I had to.
Listen, see, like, I think glow is a brand in of itself.
110%. We're going to have a separate conversation about that.
Because even in my head, when we started talking about mood boards, I was like, oh my goodness, we're now into another hour. Like, we've got to... Okay.
Let's shine.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So you've got meditate.
Yes. So
I actually love the font.
Thank you.
Which is really interesting for me, because visually it's like I'm not just seeing words or pictures, I'm also seeing style. Yeah.
Meditate. Oh, it was one of the things that got me through last year, and it's specifically above the Bible, because I was meditating on scripture, and just in terms of like the affirmations that I was using to build myself back up. Reading the Bible was definitely a part of that.
Did you have a particular verse, scripture, book that you stuck with, or was focused on?
I'm really, really sorry, but they're actually on my phone.
That is so bad. No, okay, we can fit those in later. We can fit that in somewhere.
But I think one of the main ones was see, I'm so bad with like quoting.
You don't have to quote it.
But whatever is true, whatever is good, and of a good report.
Think of those things.
Think of of praiseworthy. Yeah. Think of those things, and like that would literally be one of the main scriptures or things that I would have to like say out to myself to literally fight against a thought that said the opposite to like how God viewed me. So whether it be you can't do this, or I would get maybe overwhelmed with the amount of things I've got to do. So I'd be like,
doubting yourself
because I'm just not meant to do it or whatever. That's not a good thought. That's not a good report. That doesn't show anything praiseworthy. So therefore that's not about to be a part of our
love that.
A part of my thought process. So I knew that I had to work to counteract that thought. So that's definitely one of the scriptures I meditated on, and just the whole taking time out. There was a Bible, it's a Christian meditation app called Abide, and that got me through a lot of moments where I was in a state of anxiety, just to calm me down. It was very practical, because it was just when you have like guided meditations, the voices are very calming, but they were literally speaking like scriptures and truth into my atmosphere, into my ears and stuff. So that was super, super helpful. I think now that I've taken a hold of myself a little bit more, I've used it less and less. But it defo did help with the whole, just rebuilding my like foundation and
gosh, there's so much in there. There's so much in there. Like this, just
it's a lot.
Like it, and I'm thinking to myself. I mean, I've been wanting to have conversations with different people that I love and respect, and have been on a journey with. Whether the journey is like of 1 month, 1 year, or 10 years, or in between, like ours, 5 years, whatever it is. And part of my wanting to do that has been because I'm always intrigued by people's journeys. And, sort of past, present, and where, and the potential for the future.
Yeah.
So listening to you talk, looking at the red car, and, there's so much, because even the picture that has the hair, the sort of pink hair, when I look at that, I remember the hair for glow.
Oh my God.
From
so
a visual.
colourful.
So yes. And I remember you were so nervous.
Oh my.
But what was funny about it was you said you wanted something that was bold and not you. You had all these ideas. You had ideas of, it's funny you talk about fairies.
That's exactly what I
right?
look like. Yeah.
And for me, I wanted to maximize and optimize the visuals.
I remember being so nervous because I knew that you wanted to take the little idea that I had,
yes,
which I was actually very nervous about saying.
I know.
I was saying it, but not really wanting it to happen.
I'm well aware.
But I really wanted it to happen because that's what I wanted to be, and I just didn't have a space or the courage to do it. And you dragged it out of me. And I thank you that you. Oh God. I thank you that you did that. And even with the two-tone hair, that was my style for like years.
Yeah, exactly. You did different variations. You had the braids one, and it was always a joy to me to see something of you, a picture on social media or on your website, and see a variant of it. Because for me, it was like you pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. It was like, okay, you got to experience what the fantasy looked like. And the fantasy really was reality. Yeah. And let me say why, why I say that and why I want to, and why it's important to iterate that is because the things that we think are so fantastical, once we, go ahead and start to put them in place, or even step into it, once you've done it, it's no longer fantastical.
Yeah.
You now get the opportunity to explore another side of that, another facet, and that's what you were doing. It was like you were now like, ooh, Aladdin's cave, and then you were just trying out different bits.
Exactly. The water, and then
different
jumped in.
and different versions of it. Right down to I love the lashes. I've been looking at them. And I'm like, ooh,
yeah. So a little bit of a transformation story with that, like. Makeup. This is a very funny story. So for years I've had my really good friend Shaz. She's a makeup artist.
She's so good.
She does my makeup. I booked her to do my makeup for like all my shows, my listening party and all that kind of stuff, and she always spoke through and taught me basically while she was doing my makeup what she was doing and all this kind of stuff. I really had no interest in makeup at all, and then it was like too expensive for me to like keep forking out money to like pay her. So I was like, I'm gonna have to learn. I'm really gonna have to learn. I learned so much that she actually booked me as an assistant for. I've been booked for a wedding and a TV show on BBC. By the way, a little plug there. To do
as
makeup,
an assistant,
as her makeup assistant.
Look at you!
And it's more so the fact that she's a very good teacher, and I can learn. If you show me, I can do it. She trusted me. She trusted nobody else but me. And then I started doing it on those for those clients. And then I was like, I can definitely do it for myself. Now I'm wearing eyelashes. What is that?
Like literally, what is that?
This is a very casual thing. And I've got eyelashes on for why?
But I love.
But I love it.
Right? I love.
I was just like sitting here thinking, oh, my nails, because I've now got fake nails. They're not on today because I'm going to be playing my guitar.
Yes, she is going to be playing her guitar.
Now when I present myself, I'll put on a full face of makeup. I'll put on lashes. I'll put on nails. I'll make sure my hair's done. I just have a standard now, which. I don't know.
Which I love.
Yeah,
which I love because it's everything that was sitting dormant in you that is now, coming out, and you are, you're shaping your own space and you're taking ownership of, of who you are. I remember you asked me, you said you bought the flowers. I was like, child, what you bring the flowers for? They were for glow. I was like, why do you use it? And you're like, I use them. 5 years later, I was like, what do I want to do with it? But I even love that you still have them and you still can play with them. And do you know what I mean? It's like, I mean, it's been great to see the evolution. I'm looking forward to, to the future. I'm looking forward to the manifestation of a whole lot of things on this mood board, vision board. I'm loving it. Like, I really am.
And just, I cannot wait. This is what we're gonna do later.
Okay.
I'd love to play for you my new
girl
project.
Okay, so the thing is, just like you are like assistant makeup artist to Shaz, because she's a brilliant makeup artist, I do have to say. My one experience with her, I was like, whenever I need, that's what I'm gonna call. She is so brilliant, so easy with it as well. But just as I don't know if I have enough who's and ha's to be backing you today, so you might be doing that on your own. But all jokes aside, I'm looking forward to it. I even looking forward to the fact that your journey has gotten to this place where you're playing guitar.
Me too.
Right? And that's like a whole nother story as well.
I think, do you have time?
Do we have time? I think we should just go for it.
With the guitar
we started,
playing,
why not?
I feel like
I'm just going to get comfortable.
That was another important part of my awakening. To realizing how much I just wasn't using the things that God has given us. Like, I basically for years said, I'm just going to be a singer. Okay. So that to me meant I'm just going to sing. So I'm always going to be booking a guitarist. I'm always going to be booking in someone to accompany me. I don't know. Maybe I just like to spend money. Because there's
lots of money that you had from your real job.
Apparently so.
And we won't even bring that into the conversation.
Jesus.
Anyway.
God, because no word of a lie, I am the most, what they would call broke now. But my creativity has elevated.
I was just gonna say, because you are the most so you are the most adventurous than I've and the thing with you is, I don't think you've been afraid to explore musical genres, stylistically, in the way that you use your vocals, in the way that you use your gift. I don't think it's that. It's just that there is a boldness to you now, which is, corona, no corona, this or no this.
I'm going to make it. I'm going to get it.
You know? Yeah. And you're not relying on whether you have an audience of friends or not. There's a focus to you doing what for me in last year was the beginning of the year. No, it had in fact started towards the tail end of 2019, where I'd started having conversations with myself about what living a year of truth could look like.
Wow.
Yeah, it was deep. I remember where the conversation started in Venice, in front of some large screen. So in an art, room.
We're so in touch, by the way.
In an art room, there was nobody else there. It was just pure darkness. And for some reason, I'm looking at the screen and having this conversation with self. And it went from that, in that November of 2019, into January of 2020, where I was like, okay, I need to have a word and be loyal to my own word. And that's coming from somebody who integrity is very important to me. So it's not that I was lacking in integrity before, but it was more like okay self. Okay self. And it was one of those where it's like, I am going to be committed to my word, irrespective. So imagine 2 months later, where we now being like all coroned and not coroned, and you know what I mean? And there I was getting ready to escape the country, like all the things I wanted to do, find my island, and I then had to remind myself that I was going to be loyal to my word, irrespective of whatever shackles, restrictions, limitations. And trust me, it's been, a year of whatever, but and so I mention it because there is a freedom and boldness that comes with that, where you're not measuring yourself with anything other than yourself.
Right. Yeah.
you know, and that's what, when I hear you speak now, that's the, you know, that's the difference. It's not even as though you didn't know yourself before. It's as though you're now bolder about being yourself.
Yeah, I like that. Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, because you've embraced every part of it. The anxiety, I love how you changed what you said. You said, oh, when my anxiety, and then you changed, you said, no, the anxiety.
Yeah.
Like that was, you know, I just didn't want to stop you because I, you know, even now I go goosebumps. I had a, you know, Holy Spirit moment at that point. I was like, oh, she checked herself.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not a mine.
Yeah. We have to, do have to acknowledge it because it needs to be dealt with.
Absolutely.
But I feel like one thing I learned, just aside from anxiety, just with the whole passive thing, is because I kept attaching myself to certain spaces. So when I realized that I'm there, it's about acknowledging it so it can be dealt with. So exactly the same with the anxiety. It's something that has been, you know, really trying its thing. But yeah, it's not something that defines me. It's not something that, an area that I have to sit in. The area that I want to sit in is about being progressive and growing and flowing and interacting and, you know, and anxiety pulls, it restricts the growth, it restricts all of that stuff. So yeah,
I love that. So it's like an acknowledgement of this sort of, you know, whether you work on a shadow or whatever, but almost kind of walking with it peacefully, as opposed not being restricted by it, but acknowledging that, you know, this walks with me. It doesn't have to all the time, you know, it doesn't, you know.
And I think just acknowledging and realizing my authority in Christ as well, that's really been helpful to like how I address anxiety, because those things do exist.
And that's why I said interesting, because this is in a world where these are taboo subjects in the realms of church and Christianity, and you know, in some areas, not every, not taboo to some, but in some areas it's like, you know, you have some conversation, people, they're like, that's of the enemy. Don't even tell anyone. That's not mine. You know, my enemy has. Yeah, I mean, this is so many. But that again, another conversation.
It's another conversation. But just real quickly, even one of the songs that you were playing earlier, it's like, these things are real, but my God is realer. So it's just it just gets back to that point of when those things are facing you, whose report are you going to believe? Like,
think about the report.
Are you going to believe what the doctors have diagnosed you with, or what the feeling may present to you, or are you going to counteract that with what God can do and see God actually show up for you in that situation? And I find that when I'm in a space of anxiety, it's actually telling me about my perspective.
Yes,
it's telling me that my perspective is in the wrong space, and I haven't focused on God. Maybe I haven't spent enough time in prayer. Maybe I haven't been obedient and responded to something that God has asked me to do. Maybe I'm actually in this place of running away. Maybe I think that my agenda is more important than what He has actually asked me to do. So one of the main things this year that the word that He gave to me was about a greater surrender, which I found very strange, because for me it kind of for a moment I felt like it contradicted the fact that I've just made a mood board and I've just got my plans in place.
Okay.
But I felt that at the same, like, that was all well and good happening because it was such an amazing experience and like very detrimental to my mindset moving forward. But it also required a greater surrender, because ultimately God's will trumps all of it.
But to build a house,
but yeah,
even, you know, because if we're gonna go down the route of, you know, of God and the Bible and whatever, the scriptures very clearly say, count the cost. So you got to know how much the house is going to cost you and whatever. How do you do that? You've got to have your, profit loss. You've got to know how your figures, you more or less have to have a mood board. That's what that is saying.
Yeah.
That's not what, but you know what I mean? I'm just saying that's the modern, one version of the modern equivalent. So I think this idea that having a vision board is contradictory to a spiritual truth, for me, is a little bit of a challenge to swallow, because even the book of Joel talks about vision, right?
Exactly.
The young men will dream visions, and young men will dream dreams, and old men will have visions, something like that. I haven't quite got it the right way around. So this whole, thing about being visionary and intuitive and co-creating and speaking the word into existence, for me, I see that all in a mood board.
Been so beautiful, like, just to see how, with me getting myself focused in terms of having the vision board and having vision, being able to see, all that kind of stuff, when it is time to pray, it's just been so awesome to kind of like let it all go.
I love
because
that.
then the responsibility is not on me. The focus isn't on like,
I've now got to make this.
It takes all of that away.
Love that.
And it's just been more of like a peaceful sort of,
the surrender that you talked about.
Yeah.
Vision laid bare and then surrendered.
Basically.
Yeah. I love that. Wow. What a great place to
pause.
Because I was going to say exactly. Just a pause. Because in that pause, I'm interested. You're going to play a song. We are first going to eat, please. Thank you very much. Just to say, we ordered food, a takeaway.
Oh my gosh, it's just sitting there.
It came and it's just looking at us, because this conversation is so juicy that it has sort of taken over from where food really should be filling the gap. So we're going to go away and fill the gap with food. But why I wanted to kind of mention it in the space of with the pause button, as proverbial pause button, is because when you were talking, I was thinking, I wonder how all of this has actually manifested itself in your songwriting. And I know that you're going to play something on the guitar, which again has been part of your growth, to kind of go from, I'm a singer, I'm only going to use my voice, to I'm a singer, it's okay, I'm a creative, I can actually use some creative equipment to support the gift. But let me just ask you that. What would be the one major change that has possibly occurred in your songwriting or your song delivery? Whether it is with the guitar, without, or, in this entire process?
I think it's just honesty. There's just been a lot more honesty. So, say with Over the Wall and my latest one, With All My Heart, which is what I will play later, I think it's just been, they've spoken specifically to situations. Like the other stuff was just like fun, just nothing specific. It was just freestyle off the top of my head, which still has a place. But there was just something very specific. Like Over the Wall was literally a love letter from God to me. So the words that he gave to me, I basically put a melody to it. Reveal My Heart, that was an outcry from me to God about, just the state of everything. Just asking him to fix my heart. And those were very real situations that sort of like needed to be like addressed. Now with the project that I'm gonna show you and stuff, that takes you, it's called Transit. And it's about transitioning both emotionally, physically. At the time I was traveling, I went to 2 different countries, okay, in a short period of time. So therefore I was traveling.
Did Boris notice?
Oh, this wasn't.
I know. I'm
yeah.
teasing.
Okay.
Yeah. I just thought I'd be, just throw some controversy in there.
And so the songs are sort of
for
like
the people that are
inspired.
like, where you going? That's the reason why you spread it. Like, please just
We
pause.
be traveling, y'all.
Yeah, exactly. In our minds, I've gone to Jamaica. I'm back, and if you follow me on Instagram, you will see that I went to Jamaica. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I was inspired in those areas, so that's what the songs sort of reflect. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but there's just been more.
It does.
Honesty.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. Honesty, more honesty. So I kind of used to do this in my style sessions, where I'd go, okay, so what are the words? And I don't know why I'm feeling inclined to do it here. So what I hear, surrender, vision, honesty.
Oh, I love that. Surrender, vision, honesty. I'm going to write a song about that. I love that. This is one thing oh God, she's off again. She's off again. So with the guitar playing, I've fallen into this songwritery space, right? Obviously I'm a singer, but I've really gone right in with the songwriting space to a point where I'm a part of a couple of songwriting platforms, connecting with other musicians and creatives, and it's just been so great. I've learned so much about co-writing and collaboration and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that has been amazing is that if I go into a co-write, we'll talk about things for about 10-15 minutes, maybe even a half an hour, whatever. It just depends on the vibe. If people just need to really use that time, and I'll be the one like on my Google Docs just typing down like keywords, and those are like the lyrics of the song, or those are like the themes of the song. So when you've then just said the summary of those is the vision, surrender, and honesty. Like that's in my head now. How I'm now thinking is, okay, that's a song right there.
Love it. So, and I'd love to hear that when you do finally write it. Yeah. But for now, we're going to get us some food.
Yeah, sorry,
and
guys.
Then we'll come back to the guitar. And we have no idea how long this is. But does it matter?
Wow.
Well,
yeah.
We had some extra bits as well. Yeah, and then some. Yeah. Okay. That's been, I mean, we're done, but I just want to say, like, like on a personal note, this is how can I put this in a way that does not sound so dramatic?
Go for it, Chi. Just tell it like it is.
It's like conversations with me, Chi. Like I really, and I've said it already, I get so much inspiration from listening to people's journeys, and not just listening, but being in conversation with them as they walk through the journey and whatever space that I fit in there, as well as the things that I kind of learn and remember as we go, as we go along. But this has been much more than I expected. And when I say expected, that's not derogatory. You and I had a conversation about how we were going to have a conversation. And why I say this is more than what I expected, because I thought that we kind of figured out
what was going to be said.
Exactly.
But we've actually said completely different things.
Yeah. And I kind of even feel like I'm cheating by us stopping. Yeah. I feel like I'm being cheated.
There's so much more.
Because there is so much more. But maybe that's a pause for a part 2, 3, 4, 5 in whatever year.
It's true. True. Chi, thank you so much.
No.
Thank you for listening as well, guys.
Ruth-Ellen, this has been a pleasure.
Yeah.
And not just a pleasure, but an honor.
Oh.
Really, because I'm getting goosebumps. Because to think of how far you've come.
Oh gosh.
To think about how, from the time we met to now, to even think about what you said to me on the phone the other day about your car. I was like, you drive? Like, what?
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, because you had a song about topping up your Oyster card. Listen, there was a lyric.
What's an Oyster card at this point?
At this point. So I'm like, huh? She drives. So just those kind of nuances of progress in a person's journey. You know, not the driving over Oyster card. I still got me an Oyster card. Trust me, I left the whole car thing. That's why you're like, you drive? Because you're the exact child. I drive, and I drive large vehicles. I'll have you know. So nobody try me. But I have no need for a car. You know, I do love driving. So I suppose the simple point I'm making is, you know, having an Oyster card or having an Oyster card has nothing to do with where you are on the pecking order, darling. But it's part of the progress that you've made to even be like, I drive.
And that's why Transit, the next project, is so important.
Yes, and it's also travel, right? Transit.
I love that.
In motion. Girl, you're in motion.
Literally.
Love it. Let's get some motion to some food.
Yeah, please.
Thank you, people.
Please.